This is a world you never understand, and you always fear, but you don't understand. That's a power you can't find. It's the power of fear. You're afraid because you can't come close.
Everyone. Guest of honor is here. Thank you for your patience. We apologize for the delay. We certainly didn't want Ben to pass out in the middle of this interview. He's been a little busy so far today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome again to the Economaki press conference room, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Welcome to all the media here and everyone on the World Wide Web. We have with us Ben Spies, who's testing the last 2 days for the Rizla Suzuki team. A few stats about Ben. His hometown is Longview, Texas. He is currently the two-time defending AMA Superbike Series champion. Recently set, I was just reading about this earlier today, this is very impressive, recently set an AMA Superbike Series record by winning 7 consecutive races, and followed that up with an impressive MotoGP debut at the British Grand Prix. Qualified 8th and finished 14th there. That was on June 22nd. To start off, Ben, I know you just, I believe you just ran a full race simulation a little while ago before you came in for lunch. Let's talk about how things have been going. I know you ran 100 laps yesterday. You've already ran 70 today, so you're definitely the busiest guy around here. Yeah,
you know, it's that was the most important thing for us, is to get a lot of laps in and just get more comfortable with the bike. And you know, yeah, we did a little bit of a race then before lunch, and going to do another one after lunch. And these have been the most important days for me on the bike, the 2, you know, nice days, and just getting more comfortable on the bike is every time we go out, and the times keep dropping and dropping. And you know, yeah, first race was pretty tough just with the conditions, and you know, qualifying 8th was good, and the finish wasn't too great, but it started the end of the race got pretty good at the end, so that's what we were happy about. And just trying to get more time around here and on the bike, and hopefully it'll pay off when we come to Laguna and back to Indianapolis for the race.
Just a reminder for the media that are here, we have 2 microphones, and this is being broadcast on the World Wide Web. We ask you to just state your name and affiliation, and please wait for the microphone. We'll bring one to you. Let's open it up for questions.
Okay. Aaron Frank from Motorcyclist Magazine. Ben, when did you get your first ride on the GP bike? Was it last fall?
Yeah, last fall at Valencia. Got about, I think, 30 laps on it, and that was pretty good. And it helped a little bit for when we rode in England, but still, for, you know, only doing 30 laps and then going back there, I couldn't even really remember how the bike was. But that was definitely the first time we got on it, and just pretty much an hour and a half of total time on it, just in and out, and you know, it's pretty good.
So this is effectively your 3rd time on the bike?
Yeah.
Here. How's the setup coming?
It's going good. You know, really, we haven't. Yesterday we started on the setting that I rode at Donington, and then they had a new setting, just that seems like everybody's liked, and tried that at the end of the first day, and that's what we're on now, and it's a little bit better. But you know, really, we haven't changed much with the bike. We haven't changed offsets or spring rates, or even, you know, the gearing that we started on the bike here is what I'm still on, and still really haven't started messing with the bike. Just kind of trying to ride it and find the limits of everything, and just getting faster and faster every time out.
Is there any relationship at all between the setup of your Superbike and the GP bike?
No.
It's completely certain.
Yeah, it's you know, it's probably like you know, one of those Formula 2000 cars to a Formula 1 car. I mean, they're just so much weight transfer is cut in half on a GP bike. The brakes, the tires, the suspension brand, everything's just completely different. You know, on the bike, you don't have to use a clutch for back shift. You don't. I mean, it's just a totally different ride, and definitely different. And it's gonna. I think it'll be a little bit difficult when we're having to ride the Superbike and that bike at Laguna, but you know, it's going to be how it is, and we'll see how it works out.
Is the electronics package similar at all, or?
It's actually a little bit different. Just the way the traction control works is a bit different, but you know, it is good.
Ben, Rich, and I with Channel 13 NBC station here in Indianapolis. What were your first impressions of this place as a facility, and your first impressions of the road course? And had you been here at all in any capacity before?
No, I haven't. As a facility, it's an awesome facility. It's huge. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I didn't know it was this big, but you know, to be honest, the first time we went out, I really wasn't too happy just with how the track was and some spots, but it is getting better every time out, and it's just a lack of grip in a certain section of the track, and that just because there's been no bikes on it, and it is getting better. And you know, there's a couple little bitty changes that are going to be different when we come back here, but really just going to be reference points and stuff like that, and just to make the track look better. But you know, the more it's just hard when we only have 6 bikes out there trying to lay down rubber, but it is getting better and better. So it's you know, like I said, first initial reaction, I really wasn't pleased with some grip and some other things, but it's gotten better. Now I'm actually comfortable and having fun out there. And once we get more bikes on the track, when we're back here, obviously the 250s and 125s are going to be out on the track. So I think the grip's going to get back to normal for sure in September.
Todd Golden with the Terre Haute Tribune Star. You mentioned the reference points. How does that compare to some of the other circuits that you've been on? And also, how does the runoff area compare, particularly going into Turn 1, compared to some of the other circuits you've run, either MotoGP-wise or AMA-wise?
Well, I mean, the reference points are just, you know, certain parts where we're coming out of some corners, they waited to put stuff down just to get some feedback on knowing where it needs to be, and now they know where it needs to be, and it'll be fixed pretty much as soon as possible, and definitely before we get back. And honestly, the runoff, I don't really see, you know, every area is fine for me. The last corner's, you know, the wall's pretty close, but, you know, I can deal with it. And the first turn, there's plenty of runoff. The only thing that I think it maybe is a little bit different for some of the European guys is just being up next to a wall. I mean, just going down the front straightaway. And realistically, if you're the only way you're gonna get into that is if you have a mechanical, as in a tire or a bike or something, or you get hooked up with somebody, something like that. But actually in the corner, if you're by yourself, I would say it's impossible to get into anything, just because when you start to turn, there's huge runoff. There's grass everywhere. But the front straightaway, yeah, you're in between 2 walls. But you know, with how everything is with the bikes, usually there's not too much, you know, going on in a straight line. But yeah, as in runoff in Turn 1, there's plenty once you're actually in the turn, so it's fine.
Hi, Susan Haas, Superbike Planet. What about the runoff in the last turn going on to the front straight?
Yeah, you know, there's it's a little bit close, but I think there's a couple little ideas that might change for when we're back here. You know, it's that's definitely, if there is the worst spot on the track, that's where it is. But you know, I think it's going to be fine. I think everybody will be able to deal with it. And you know, the only real reason I see it getting any worse is if it's raining. But like I said, there's a couple ideas that we've talked about, and I suggested, and might make the speeds a little bit quicker on the front straightaway, but the angle of coming on the front straightaway will be a whole lot nicer for sure. So we just kind of got to decide, you know, if they want to keep the speeds down, we got to stay where we're at, and it's a little bit, you know, fighting the subject of a close wall, and then if they want to get, you know, do away with being close to the wall, then it's just going to be a faster run on the front straightaway. So it's you know, kind of in between a couple areas, but there's definitely some things that can be done before we get back here.
I understand that the way that turn is laid out now, the curbing is just a piece of flexible AstroTurf, and so that could be moved pretty simply. Is that what they're talking about?
Yeah, I'm sure they'll put AstroTurf or something in the inside. Right now it's kind of just a false curb, and you can get your knee into it pretty good, but it's just you know, subject to change, and that's why it is the way it is. But once everything's laid out, by the time we get back here, I'm sure it's going to look nice and you know, obviously very professional.
Okay, one other thing. Yesterday morning before you went out, Nobuo was out. Were there any changes made to your bike on the basis of his laps?
No, he just You know, they actually built two. I was pretty surprised they built two brand new bikes for me for here that I'm going to be racing at Laguna. These bikes will go straight to Laguna from here, and you know, they were just my exact. One bike was the new spec that I tried later on the first day, which was better, but both bikes had the same handlebar settings and foot peg settings as what I used at Donington, and he just basically came over here to shake them down, make sure everything was good since they were brand new, and helped me. Because he rides a bike, he knows what it's doing, and he speaks, you know, very good English. So he's been helping me, you know, translate for the technicians, and he's going to be at Laguna to help me out there. So he basically just came over, you know, to help and shake down the bikes for me.
David Williams on OnTheThrottle.TV. You ran that race stint in low 144s, and your quickest lap was a low 143. Was that more of a Q kind of tire and anything like that? No,
that was actually you know, just a good baseline tire. Their baseline tire for the whole test, and just needed to do some laps on it. And actually the whole session we with the track temp has came up in the past 2 hours pretty substantial. And the front tire we were using isn't what we would, you know, like and race on. But when you're testing, you know, doing race stints, you don't want to just throw on a harder front. Even if it will work better, you want to run the same thing you've been running the whole time. So struggling a little bit with the whole session out there, but now low 43, that wasn't a Q time. I mean, these tires are pretty good, and with any of these race tires, you could throw them on and go, you know, throw down a 42 if you wanted to, but it's not too good if you're trying to do a race stint and actually, you know, be good to the tire and see what it can do in the end. So we did that in the last couple laps. We got back in the 43s, and it was good. But, you know, if we would have had a little stiffer front tire on there, it would have been quicker throughout the whole run. But, you know, that was the run, was just to check the rear tire and see how it was, and abrasion levels and all that stuff, and everything was pretty good.
Ben, what does this opportunity to run some MotoGP races this year in the United States mean to your career?
Yeah, you know, I mean, the first race I was supposed to have was in the States, and they were both going to be in the States, and that would have been, you know, really cool. But then we went to Donington and had our first race there, and I think it was better to do that because now I've been on the track with those guys. I've done a whole weekend. I've done the start. I've done everything, and I won't be nervous at Laguna. Even if Laguna would for sure be a better result than Donington, the nerves would be there, and all for the first time ride would definitely be there, and we got that out of the way at Donington. So now I can go to Laguna and then Indy, a track I know now, and go for some good results and try to put the bike up front. So I think it was better to do that, and then just, you know, for the next two races being in the States, it's, you know, I'm happy about it. We've got, you know, a lot of fans that basically most of the fans will be Americans, and they'll be, you know, rooting you know, John and Nick and me and Colin on, and then Laguna's a track I know well, so it's I'm looking forward to it, and, you know, fellow AMA riders will be at Laguna and be kind of have my back, so it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Is this something that you've looked forward to for quite some time, or did this come about fairly quickly as the next step for you? Yeah,
I mean, I really didn't have a drive to race GP, and wanted to, because I always just wanted to win a Superbike title, and the first goal was getting an AMA factory ride. The second was racing Superbike. Then it was winning titles. And you know, the second and third year we've been on a Superbike, we've won, and we're trying to do it again. And now just kind of want to do something different and try something. You know, just kind of step outside the comfort zone and see what happens. So. You know, after being at Donington and seeing these guys on the track, I think it's, yeah, I'm not saying we can go over there and win races, win championships the first 2 years, but, you know, what I saw on the track definitely is attainable, but it's tough. You know, the guys are fast, but it's just the next step, and been trying for a while, you know, a little over a year now to get on a GP bike, and now it's working out, and you know, actually enjoying the traveling and seeing everything, and you know, try to put some good results in and try to, you know, race a series next year for sure.
Is there a pretty good thrill coming down the main straightaway at this place?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, it's quick. It's just, you know, it's a bit different with just the entry to one and just the whole front straightaway. But you know, the front straightaway, I guess we're getting speeds that are, you know, pretty close to 200 here. But you know, honestly, the difference from 170 to 200 isn't too much when you're going in a straight line until you grab some brakes and you have a little incident getting there hot, and then you know, you really feel how fast you're going and everything's coming up pretty quick. But you know, I'd say it's pretty normal, just you know, straight line going fast and throwing it into turn one. It's pretty good.
And last one for me, just what do you think the significance is of a motorcycle race of any kind, let alone MotoGP, coming to this facility?
Yeah, you know, this has always been a car track. You know, I never thought that the motorcycles would be here, and you know, I think it's good for this city and this part of the U.S. Is, you know, actually doing a little research, has quite a high number of motorcycle sales and actually probably the biggest. So I think it's good, you know, having, like I said, this city having a lot of fans, a lot of motorcycle people out here. I think it's going to be good. The track, I think, is going to be a work in progress, and it's for where it is now. I think it, you know, is only going to get better, and can definitely get better. And everybody here is real positive on doing that. And you know, for the U.S., I think it's a great area. I mean, there's no really better place to go when it comes down to racing. So I think it's going to become good come September, and a lot of people show up.
Next question.
Oh, hi, my name's Ron. I'm with the Hoosier Motorcyclist News magazine. Question, what size bike, what CC are you running today? And is it an inline or the V4? We're new, we're learning.
I don't even know if it's an inline or a V4. You know, Kevin? I know it's an 800.
It is an 800? It is
Guess
an 800?
it's a V4, yeah. You know, yeah, it's just an 800. Superbike's 1,000 cc's. So, but you know, this bike's a little bit quicker for sure than a superbike.
Thank you.
Aaron Frank again. If you could, Ben, just briefly comment on some of the more striking similarities or differences between your superbike and the GP bike. Is it in power delivery or physical size? Or?
Well, I mean, physical size is definitely smaller. Similarities really is that, you know, it has all the same controls and a throttle and a brake, but that's about it. Just like I said, it's just so different from a super bike. When you're going into a corner, you're trying to do everything to make the bike go into the corner, blipping the throttle, things backing in, you're using the rear brake, you're having to adjust how much clutch you're letting out and brake, you know, application to actually hit your line. And a GP bike, it's just full stop, hit the brake, you know, grab a couple gears and throw it in, and everything stays in line. And you know, the aspect of actually going fast on a GP bike is hard. I mean, because, you know, Casey, Valentino, all those guys are fast. But as in rideability and riding the bike, there's a whole lot less stuff you have to do on one. But then again, when you a whole lot less things to do, you know, you got to go faster, and because you just got to push it. And you know, the tires definitely weren't good. The brakes stop a whole lot better, and you know, it's just a whole different ride. The bike's way stiffer than a super bike, and you know, you can't quite get them out of shape as much as a super bike can, and you can't manipulate the bike as much with moving your weight around as you can a super bike, because there's just a whole lot less weight transfer. But it's definitely more, you know, I'd say on a GP bike, when you get down to the top 5 riders, it's definitely more in the bike to win the race. After seeing what I saw at Donington, I mean, you can be you know, the best rider, and if you're not on the best bike or it's not set up the absolute right way, you're not going to win. I mean, it's a lot of the bike and this stuff, but you know, it's there's just basically a super bike and GP bike. There's a whole lot less stuff to do on a GP bike, but you got to do it right to go fast. That's for sure.
Is it fair to say riding the super bike is more of a physical challenge, and it's more of a mental challenge on the GP bike? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's the GP bike. You just got to trust it a whole lot more, just with the tires, the traction control, stuff like that. The super bike, you know, at the end of the race, you're a whole lot more worked, and bike's just heavier, and you know, you feel it on a super bike. You're doing everything it's got to get it around the track, and the GP bike, like I said, it's not that it's easy to go fast, but it's just a lot less stuff to do, and you got to really just roll through the corner and pick up the gas a lot sooner than you really want to, and it's you know, it adds up. But that's what the time we need to be on the GP bike to go fast, because I'm trained, been superbike for the last 3-4 years, and it's tough. But I grew up on GP bikes, and that's what I rode, 125s and 250s, and the more I ride the bike, the more my style is getting back to the way it used to be, and feeling a lot more comfortable on the thing.
Now that you've actually been in a MotoGP race situation, do you have a comment on the traction control debate and whether these bikes are too electronically controlled for competitive racing?
They're definitely they work good, and but honestly, there's a couple little bitty things that my superbike has a little bit more than the GP bike does. So it's not that they're so killed down with electronics, but I don't really know what everybody's take on it, but it's pretty much as in electronics, there's not much in it compared to a superbike compared to a GP bike. It's more just the mechanical grip that the bike has compared to a superbike. When you throw new tires on a superbike, there's only a certain amount of level that you can step up your riding to go fast. On a GP bike, you throw a new set of tires on, and I mean, you've got to trust the thing because it's got so much grip front and rear, just way more than I'm used to, and that's what we're getting used to every time out, and just being able to get to that limit when the tires are fresh, and when they drop off, there's only a certain amount you can go. But trying to get everything out of the bike when everything's fresh is pretty tough, and that's what you got to do in the first 10 laps of the race.
All right, Ben, we'll let you get back to work. Thank you very much for your time. Good luck, and we'll see you in September.
Don't come down here with your anger, trying to prove something.